Hey, what y'all need? What they need? What they want to be your chair? What they be your chair? What they be your chair? What they be your chair? Don't worry about it, bitch. Shut the
Tempers flaring outside a St. Louis Rams game this weekend after fans got upset with people protesting a police shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. This comes as we hear for the first time the most extensive blow-by-blow account from Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson of exactly what happened that August day that he shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown. Federal officials, unnamed, telling the New York Times that Wilson feared for his life as he struggled for his gun with Michael Brown. Mark Fuhrman is a former LA police detective and Fox News contributor, and he joins me now. Mark, good to have you with us here tonight. Obviously, there has been so much tension that has surrounded this case, and this huge story broke on the front page of the New York Times over the weekend. And you say that when you look at the details here, and it talks about a struggle that happened inside the car, and it claims in this piece that there were 2 shots that were fired inside the car, and that is, substantiates the claim by Darren Wilson that there was some kind of struggle within that car during which he feared for his life. What do you make of all this?
Well, Martha, when you look at this and you have to tactically set the stage, Darren Wilson is working a one-man marked police vehicle in uniform. He is about to try to exit to confront 2 suspects, Brown and Johnson, that he wanted to contact and talk to, whether he knows about the strong-arm robbery or not. He is thrown back into the vehicle, and once Brown enters that vehicle through the window, he is pinning the officer down, and this evidence, this forensic evidence, shows that they were grappling for the gun, and the gun went off twice, 1 round hitting Brown, and that blood is not only on the inside of the door, it's on the officer's uniform and the gun. That puts them together. That puts them fighting over the gun, and it supports Officer Wilson's statement for exactly what happened right at that moment when he contacted Brown.
Yeah. Dorian Johnson is the other person that you mentioned. He's the other suspect. So it sounds like, Mark, it's going to come down to his word against Darren Wilson, because he claims that Darren Wilson reached out, that the door was open, and that he then reached over and grabbed Michael Brown and pulled him down towards the car through the window, is his contention.
Well, it's
all right. Mark shot froze here for a second, so let's see if we can get him back. But we're talking about the fact that so much new information was revealed in this New York Times piece that is shedding more light on this case, and it talks about Darren Wilson's side of this story and what he says happened. He claims that that Michael Brown reached into the car, that a struggle ensued, that the gun during that struggle went off or either was fired, and that those are the first 2 shots that hit Michael Brown. So Dorian Johnson's story is quite different, Mark, from what we've learned in this piece.
It is different, and somebody has to imagine this. If somebody reaches into a vehicle and the person in the vehicle outstretches their left arm to keep that person away, who is actually pulling and who is pushing? That is where that is going to be an issue that comes down to the evidence that the officer actually has supporting his story. Now, that whole situation there actually shows one thing to me, that Brown is the aggressor, the officer is the victim. After this initial contact in those first 2 rounds, Brown could have walked away, and there is little doubt in my mind that if he just walked away or ran away, that he'd probably still be alive today.
So the contention is by the witness who was with him that he turned around and put up his hands. And I guess what really this comes down to at that point is what happened outside the car and how those next 4 shots were fired and what happened between these 2 people that made that happen and left him dead in the street.
I agree with you. And you look at this, Darren Wilson already established his fear for his life and great bodily injury. He is already being overpowered by a man that is greatly superior in size and strength than him.
But he has the gun, and that's what the other side will say, Mark. He has the gun.
It doesn't matter if he has a gun. Neither Johnson or Brown had been searched, and this officer does not know if they are armed or not. Now, until that point that you know that they're unarmed or they surrender or follow your commands, they are a suspect that has already attempted to kill the officer, and now he keeps advancing, whether his hands are up, and he keeps advancing, trying to close that distance. This officer knows that he will never be able to withstand a fight with this man outside of the vehicle, and he will probably lose his gun and his life.
I mean, you know, the problem with this is that it becomes about the racial issue and then wanting to sort of have this stand for larger racial issues and larger racial tensions that have happened in this town over the years. And it has to come down to the facts of what happened that night. Hopefully the forensics will tell the tale of this story, Mark. And then we got to go.
Thank you.
All right. Mark, thank you very much. Sorry for that shot freezing up a moment ago, everybody. But Mark Fuhrman, good to have him with us tonight. And still tonight,